Hello, my name is Celeste Martinez, and I am a member of MAD. And my story goes back to May 10th, 1997. When I was 11 years old, my dad and my mom went to Casas Grandes, Mexico. They were going to visit some family members over the Mother's Day weekend. And a few days later, it was just actually about 3 days later, my mom called my sister and told her that there had been, that my dad had actually been hit crossing the street. At the time, we didn't have more information, other than he was hit. I was 11 years old, so my sister had to come take me out of school and, explain to me what had happened. I was in 5th grade, so it was, something that you would think that a 5th grader would know and, understand. However, it was something that was very difficult to imagine. Sorry. To imagine not seeing my father again. What I understand was that they were at a plaza celebrating, Mother's Day, which would have been, something that was, a celebration of, something that was a special occasion, and my dad was hit by just crossing the street. Witnesses say that the person who hit my dad was speeding and listening to really loud music. He left the scene of the crash and he didn't stop. He didn't stop to see what he hit, and there was a really long investigation where witnesses stated that they had seen him, and however they never found the person that killed my dad. Mexico is so different. They don't do as much of go out and look for that. So it was just very hard to get anything going there. So they never found him. I was not able to go to be there because in Casas Grandes, where he was at, they have regulations as far as how the embalmment goes, of how they get buried. And the nearest place where he could be embalmed was Juarez, which my mom was just not prepared to have to make that travel and have him embalmed there. So we went the following day. By that time, my dad had already been buried. So I was not able to attend his funeral or get to see him. We basically just had to come back and go on as if nothing had happened. It was really hard just to talk about it. My mom, I remember she would, cry. She would always be very sad because she, that was the love of her life that she lost. And so as the time went by, it just got, it wasn't, something that we forgot. It was just something that got easier, and we just went from there. My brother was 5 years old, so it was something that, he doesn't have those memories. He doesn't remember my dad that well. So we didn't talk about it. It just got easier and, we just moved on. It seemed like it was, getting better, and then again. And then again, our lives changed. November 17th of '99. We got another, devastating call. I remember the day I was with my sister and I was spending the night with my sister, and she had gone to the gym, so I stayed with my niece and her dad. And we were getting ready to go to the store when my niece's dad got a call. And just by the look on his face, I knew that it wasn't going to be good news. You know, he sat me and my niece down and told us that my grandparents had been in an accident and they didn't survive. Our grandparents, who are, you know, were everything in our family. You know, at that time it was considered an accident because they didn't have more information than that. He called my sister and asked her, you know, to get home. He had some news to tell her. He didn't want to tell her over the phone. My sister got worried and she started calling other people. She called my aunt and asked my aunt, you know, what's going on. And he told her, she told her, you know, mom and dad were killed. And my sister just couldn't believe it. She got home. We didn't have more information other than they were in an accident. So we waited a couple days. My aunts and uncles went, and my mom went to the morgue. The examiner at the morgue did not want my sister and, you know, my aunts and uncles to go in. Because of how bad how badly burnt they were from the accident. The witnesses that were, you know, following the person that killed my grandparents, they stated that he was swerving, that he was driving, that he was speeding, and at the time they weren't able to call the police because there was no cell service in the area. My grandpa seen that the driver of the other vehicle swerved into his lane, and my grandpa swerved out of the lane, and the other person realized that he was in the wrong lane also. But by that time it was too late, and he hit my grandparents head on. My grandpa was pulling his large horse trailer, and he had a very old vehicle, and both of the vehicles exploded, burst into flames. The witnesses that were at the scene were not able to help them or put, you know, the fire out due to not having any type of, you know, fire extinguishers. When they took them to the morgue, they were so badly burnt that they weren't able to identify them. They identified my grandmother by her two missing toes because she had them amputated in previous years. So that's how they identified my grandmother. And obviously the other person that was in the vehicle with her was my grandpa. We were not able to have, obviously, an open casket for them because they were, you know, badly burnt. That there was no way to, you know, recognize who was who. Their bodies were, you know, so small that they both fit in the same casket, so they were actually, you know, buried together. That was really, really hard. One of the hardest funerals that I had to be part of, because my grandparents were the glue that held all of us together. And once they passed away, everything just kind of fell apart. Aunts and uncles didn't really talk to each other anymore. It was just really, really hard to lose them. And you know, it doesn't go away. It just kind of gets easier as the time goes. You know, especially during the holidays, because they were actually killed a week before Thanksgiving. So, you know, that was just a really, really hard time. We weren't able to, you know, celebrate. We were too busy, you know, planning their funeral, their arrangements. So it was just a really hard time. You know, as the years go by, it just gets easier, but there's always times when It's either their birthdays, their anniversary, holidays, and those are the times that it hits you the hardest. And it's just a very hard time, especially during the holidays. That's the hardest for me because that's where we would gather. We would go to their house, and now, like I said, none of our uncles and aunts talk to each other, so it's just not the same. The person that caused my grandparents' death, because that's what happened. He was responsible for it. He had been at his dad's funeral that morning, and after his dad's funeral, he decided to go to the bar and drink. He drank all afternoon. The bartender let him leave. He didn't try stopping him. So he left. And once we got the autopsy back, the report on him confirmed that he was under the influence. He was 3 times over the legal limit. And this is just something that, it not only hurt my family, it hurt his family because his family lost a father, a son, a brother. So it's something that didn't just affect us, it affected his family as well because he left his wife, a pregnant wife, and I believe he was 24. So, it's not something that working with Nat has taught me that I don't it's not that I don't have anything against people who drink, because I do it. I'm just responsible about it. I understand that this is something that is preventable. It's 100% preventable. There's no reason why there should be these kind of accidents or crashes. You just make the choice, and this person made the choice that, took my grandparents' life as well as his own, and it could have been easily prevented. So when I do drink, I definitely make the choice to stay home or have a designated driver, because I know that this is something that I would never want to happen to anybody else, and it happens all the time. So I just, I just really, the reason I do this is because I want other people to learn that this is something that is 100% preventable, and there's other choices that you can make. Like I said before, it's something that just gets easier, but especially now, when their anniversary date of their death comes around, it's just a reminder that they're not there and that they'll never be there. We used to always get together at their home, and my aunt still lives there, and we do talk to, she's one of the aunts that we still are really close to, so we still have the opportunity to be able to, visit them at their house. Of course, their house is completely different because it's not them. So we definitely, on their anniversary date of their death, we go, to their home, we go to their gravesite, just clean it up, and it's the week before Thanksgiving, so we go back there and spend the Thanksgiving Day with my aunt, and we go to their funeral. So it's just, it's something that's what we get to go to, to a gravesite. We don't get to see them. We don't get to talk to them. We don't get to get advice from them anymore, and they don't get to meet their new, grandchildren or great-grandchildren. So it's something that it's been really hard because we've lost, like I said before, we've lost such a big part of our family that they were the glue that held together all of our families. So that's, it's just, it gets easier, but it doesn't, it doesn't go away. Having 3 of the most important people in my life, taken away from me, has been really, really difficult. My dad was the type of person that loved music. He loved playing any instrument that he, had a chance to, have. He learned it. He used to play the accordion, the guitar. I remember when I was young, him and my grandpa we used to get together at their house, for the holidays and just different occasions, and they would, my dad would get his guitar out and they would, sing together. So that's something that, we really miss, something that I don't get to, have anymore. I don't get to, see him having fun. My dad was, he was just such an important person in my life that doesn't get to, be there for, to see us grow up. My brother, like I said, was 5 years old, so he doesn't really remember much about him. I was 11. So I think it's just over the years, you just kind of, you don't want to forget, but it's just, you start forgetting, and it's just really, really difficult. Because I personally miss, him being there for me, and it was just, really, really, really hard to not have him there to support me. My grandparents, I remember we used to go as much as we could to their house, what I always remember is, as soon as we got there, no matter what time it was or, what was going on, she always had food. I miss her. She was just, the best grandma. She would always, have food for us. I miss her red chili. She made the best red chili, and nobody can duplicate it. It's just, we've tried. It's just impossible. My grandpa was always, out in the barn with the animals, with his horses, that he loved so much. He was just always, taking care of my grandma, and we just don't get to, hear their laughter or anything. So it's just really, really hard. It's just them not being there has been really hard. I was 14 when my grandparents died. I just didn't have enough time with them, so I didn't get to, to be there with them all the time, and now I never will be able to be with them because they're not there anymore. All we have is memories and pictures, and it's just not the same. My name is Celeste Martinez. My father was Granddaughter Martinez, and on May 10, 1997, he was killed by a drunk driver. My grandparents were Francis and Ernest Serna, and on November 17, 1999, they were also killed by a drunk driver.